Hey, Shalom, Israel. This is the Israelite School, University of Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and we are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Tonight's topic, man, is going to be something very heavy tonight. Just going to let everybody know, man, there's been a lot of Christians, man, that love to proclaim that Christ came for everybody and God chose all the people on the face of the earth. But in all actuality, that is not true, man. The Most High did not send his son to die for everybody. The Most High never chose all nations to receive the covenant. The covenant was only given to the nation of Israel, and the only reason it was given to us was because of our forefather, Abraham. That is the only reason why. It's been a lot of Christians, man, who was at camp, and it was just these Edomite Christians who was just dying to let everybody know that God came for everybody. Like his covenant, his blessing, the Gentiles can receive it, everybody. But what they don't understand is that God is not the God of all nations on the face of the earth. He's only the God of the children of Israel. He's our God, our power. It's all through the scriptures.
No, I just need to put up the chat.
Okay. Yeah, he's only our Father, man. I don't know where everybody gets that from. Oh, well, he's here for everybody. Oh man, what the heck? He's like, he's here for everybody. He came for everybody. No, that is not true, man. That is not true, man. Like he did not give his blessings to everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who needs to be saved on the face of the earth right now anyway? You know what I'm saying? Like, the nation of Israel gets those covenants. That's the reason why we're going through so much hell right now. This is the reason why we're suffering and we're seeing all of these horrible things going on to us right now. It's because we were given that promise, that covenant. And it was only given to us, so we also have to suffer from the curses that come from not keeping the commandments. You look at America right now, they don't keep any commandments, and what hell are they catching? The only reason America is starting to catch hell right now because they have put their hands on the children of Israel. That's the only reason that this empire is starting to fall right now. Other than that, America doesn't keep any laws, statutes, or commandments of God. They love to proclaim that they're such a Christian-based nation. Like, they're just Christians. Everybody's a Christian. We believe in God. We believe in Jesus. But yet they do nothing that pertains to the Bible. Nothing at all. They eat pork. They eat shrimp. They eat crab. They eat lobster. They believe in homosexuality. They believe in abortions. They believe in all this. And with us not knowing who we are and losing our identity, that is the reason why we do some of the things that we do. Because we have become Gentiles also in this nation. But we're just going to break it down for you and let you know and show you through these scriptures that the Most High only chose Israel. And we received the covenant. And who they love to say is Jesus Christ. He only came for one nation of people, and that is the nation of Israel. All right, if you could you get me Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1?
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1 and verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
To who?
All Israel.
No, everybody on the face of the planet.
Unto all Israel. On the side Jordan in the wilderness.
All right, yeah, this is more proof showing you out of the scriptures that when we came out of Egypt, the laws, statutes, and commandments that everybody loved to base their life and their society off of was only given to the nation of Israel. We were the only people coming out of Egypt that was able to receive these commandments. We were the ones that were with Moses during this time. Every nation, all these other nations was on the face of the earth at the time, but the only people that were there with Moses to receive these commandments, these laws, these statutes, and these judgments were the nation of Israel. Can you read it for the top for me again?
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1 and verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on the side Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tuphel and Laban and Hazareth and Dizahab. there are 11 days journey hurrah by the way of Mount Seir.
Khan, that's the word.
Khan.
So like about that. Yeah, that's just more proof also showing you, man, that this was only the nation of Israel, which are blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. We were the ones that came with Moses to hear these commandments. So how do these nations, such as America, such as Africa, all of these different places get off saying that, hey, you know what? We got the law, statutes, and commandments also. But and you read into these scriptures, it tells you and it shows you what nation of people receive these. You can get Deuteronomy 5:1. What nation received these? We're gonna bring out more and more and more and more scriptures showing you this, because it's all through the Bible, and everybody that proclaims to be these holy sanctified Christians, these so-called religious scholars that Esau has pushed up in America, they love to say that, you know, everybody got the covenant. Everybody can be received underneath the covenant. But we got another thing for you to let you know that everybody's not underneath the covenant. With receiving these laws, statutes, and commandments, there's a punishment also if you don't keep them. And it's only one nation of people that receive these judgments. You know what I'm saying? It's only one nation of people. It's only one nation of people that can receive these judgments, man. And that is the nation of Israel. Even though we did get the blessings from the Most High, we got everything that was good that came from keeping the blessings and everything, but we also got the bad end of it too.
Right.
Like if you don't keep these commandments, yeah, it's good. Like Christians love to say, oh yeah, you know, like we got the commandments, you know, only thing we got to do is pray to God. But nobody loves to mention about what happens when you don't keep the commandments. What punishments comes from it. Like, you know, you will go into slavery if you don't keep the commandments of God. And that's what happened to the nation of Israel. You don't see the so-called oppressor, which is Esau according to the Bible. They didn't go into slavery. They didn't keep none of the commandments of God. Did they go into slavery? No, they didn't. Did the Chinese go into slavery?
Right.
No. Did the so-called Africans go into slavery? And everybody love to say we are Africans. But heck, if you look over there now, not all the Africans went into slavery. Africans didn't go into slavery, but the children of Israel did. So-called African Americans went into slavery. So-called Haitians, so-called Jamaicans, like they don't never love to tell people the truth about that either. That we were all there together. So-called Negroes, so-called Haitians, so-called Jamaicans, we were all there together, and they separated us because they knew who we were. They knew who we were when they separated us and scattered us out. And that's another curse that was upon the children of Israel also, that we will be scattered. You got that from me up?
Come on. It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 5 and verse 1. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day.
Say that again from the top again.
And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes.
The what?
The statutes
Uh-huh.
and judgments.
And the what?
And the judgments.
We know what those judgments are. When you don't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, it comes with a judgment. Moses only gave this to the nation of Israel. This is what we have to understand, man. When Christians, so-called Edomite Christians, come up to you who think they biblical scholars and just proclaim they know the Bible, and they all love to say, oh, everybody's underneath the commandments of God. You got to pull scriptures like this and show them that only the nation of Israel got the commandments, and only the nation of Israel received the judgments that came down from not keeping the commandments. Like we have to remind these stupid scholars that proclaim they just so smart and so wise and they just know the Bible. Like you have to remind them because they're dumb. They don't know anything about our book. This is our book. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to teach us about our history more better than we can? Only we can. And that's what we don't understand, man. Like you cannot listen to these pastors in these churches and who try to teach you everything about the Bible and this and that. They don't know anything. They don't even tell you this right here, that Moses told the nation of Israel, he told them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and the judgments. That's what comes from keeping the commandments of God. That's what comes with it. You know what I'm saying? It comes with the laws and it comes with judgments for not keeping the laws. Right. That's what you got to ask America. Like, hey, America, so, you know, you always talking about, you know, everybody keep the laws, you know, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not do this, and thou shalt not do that.
Right.
He was like, but what's the judgment for not keeping those commandments? What happens when you do those things, like you kill somebody, you murder somebody? What is supposed to happen to you? Well, it's supposed to be a judgment. Okay. If you say it's supposed to be a judgment, what is going to happen to y'all then? What is going to happen to y'all since, we all underneath the covenant and, we all can be received and blessed? I mean, ain't you going to go into slavery? Read Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Ain't you going to go into slavery too? If y'all proclaim y'all underneath the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. And they love to say they've been drafted in like it's a football thing. Like it's like the Most High and Jesus just sitting on the sidelines and they got all Edomites running like, yeah, we're gonna draft them man right there. Yeah, he pretty good. It's like, man, get out of here, man. That's why sometimes I don't even follow up with a lot of that, but we've been trained in here to debate and deal with these devils, man. So you know what I mean? We love to debate these devils because they just so stupid and don't know anything, man. Like we can like Ashawn said, he said body bag. And right, that's a cut right there. We can body bag them all day. We love it. We love body bagging. Like they come out there, they gonna think the coronavirus is like camp. They like, but they got bodies out here everywhere. That's it. Yeah, because they don't know what they talking about. If you can you get me Psalms 147 verse 19 through 20? We just gonna keep pulling this out, man. To let our people know, man. If you in class, write these scriptures down, man. These are good scriptures to cut these devils with, man. When they love to say that everybody got the law, statutes, and commandments. And what we're gonna show you tonight is, man, how the Most High only made a covenant with Israel. We're also gonna show you how we're keeping the covenant, how do we end up losing the covenant, and how we end up losing who we were and our identity and everything. Because just like we lost our identity when we came here to America, this wasn't the first time that this has happened to us. You have to be around real biblical scholars, which are here in the ISUPK, who can teach you this. But this wasn't our first time ever losing who we were, our identity, and who we were, and where we came from, and all of this. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you got that from me?
Yeah, come on. This is the book of Psalm 147, verse 19. He showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
Until who?
Israel.
Until everybody.
Unto Israel.
No, until America.
Unto Israel.
No, he only showed his laws, statutes, and commandments and his judgments unto Israel. Like, we have to understand it. Like, you have to realize something. Like, everybody's just sitting back saying, oh, America, God bless America, this and that. But nobody loves to pull the scriptures showing in our book, in our history. You know what I'm saying? The real nation of people who got the commandments of God. Like, they never love to pull this. Like, people don't been in church their whole life, and you never hear your pastor pull this right here. You never hear him pull this scripture right here. Like, he'll overlook this. You can pull this for your pastor, and the first thing he's going to say is, well, that's done. That's done away with. He did give it to Israel, but everybody got drafted in. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Christ and God had a NFL draft in there. Everybody got drafted in. Like, I'm a spiritual Israelite. Whatever the hell that is. I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah. I heard somebody say that they're born again in Israel.
Like, what? Like, when was you born again? Like, that's the first I ever heard of. Like, now everybody's starting to wake up to the truth now. So everybody wants to be an Israelite. It's like, it's so spiritual when you see these nations try to copy onto our culture and be like how we are, what they call it, culture vultures. That's what they are, man. All of these nations. They like how we dress, they like how we do this, but now they're starting to find out that we are the true Israelites. So now they're trying to gravitate to that too. You know what I'm saying? Look, I was a born again Israelite. So, okay. Well, you got to serve out some slavery. You got to serve out some slavery. You got to pick some cotton. You got to take a lot of abuse. I hope you don't mind being called the N-word. I hope you don't mind being set on fire. That's what comes with the judgments from the Most High. You know what I'm saying? You can read that again for the top from me.
This is the book of Psalm 147, verse 19. He showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. Verse 20. He have not dealt so with any nation.
He did what?
He have not dealt so with any nation.
But I thought everybody can get the laws and commandments.
He have not dealt so with any nation.
If any of these, I pray it's a scholar sitting in the class right now. Watch some Edomite scholar. I pray he just sit behind his computer, his laptop, watching. Mr. Edomite scholar who's watching class, what does nation mean according to the Bible? Does anybody in the class, not even Esau, he ain't got an answer, but anybody in the class, what does nation mean according to the Bible? Like, what is a nation according to the Bible? Give y'all a little time to answer. What is a nation according to the Bible? I know somebody got that answer. Trey, I know you got the answer, brother. You be in class a lot. Ashana. What is a nation according to the Bible? All right, I'm going to give it to y'all for time's sake. Nation in the Bible means nationality. It means nationality. That's what it means. When it's saying nation, it means nationality. And anybody who knows, a nationality is where you come from as a people. Like, everybody has a nationality. The so-called Caucasian man, he has a nationality. The so-called Chinese man, he has a nationality or a nation of people he comes from. The so-called Arab man, they have a nationality in the nation of people they come from. So Psalms 147, verse 19 through 20 is telling you that the Most High did not give his laws, statutes, and commandments, or the judgments that came from not keeping the commandments, to no other nationality of people besides the nation of Israel. Like, we're the only people who got these laws, statutes, and commandments. Like, the Most High didn't change this up and let any other body come drafted into this thing. Like, no other nation could be drafted in because the Most High was not dealing with any other nation. Like, that's the reason why you don't see the Chinese going through slavery, like according to the scriptures say, man. Like, these just simple things that you could break down, man. Once you come into the ISUPK, you start learning these things. You start learning that everything that you learned in these churches is full of lies when they tell you that everybody can be saved and everybody's going to be able to come into heaven and have angel wings and watch God touch fingers with white people and all type of crap like that, and naked baby angels going to be flying around, and good night. More ridiculousness that comes from the Roman Catholics, which are just like, they out of their mind, man. Like, the statues they have in there and everything, just like, that is not going to happen. Not everybody's going to be making it into the kingdom of heaven, man. Only one nation of people is going to make it in the kingdom of heaven, and that is the nation of Israel. You can read that again from me.
This book of Psalms, chapter 147, verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. Verse 20. He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
Yeah, right. Like, praise the Most High for that, man. Yeah, right, man. He didn't give that to nobody, man. Like, you have to take that serious, man. You have to take that in consideration, man. That even though we're catching hell right now, even though we have been punished, even though we had to go through slavery, hardcore bondage, man, we had to watch all of these things happen, man. But the thing that comes from us being underneath these laws, statutes, and commandments is the blessings that come with that, man. Like, that's why it's so important for us as a nation and people to wake up and come back and serve the Most High. Like, yes, we are receiving judgments. Yes, we are going through hell. But with this comes a blessing. With this comes greatness, man. Like, we will be a nation of people to arise again and be on top of every nation on the face of this earth. Like, that's what we have to realize. That's why everybody wants to get a piece of the pie. Everybody wants to be an Israelite. Because now people are starting to wake up and realize that the Most High never dealt with any other nation. So everybody wants to proclaim, hey, I'm an Israelite. I'm an Israelite. I'm a born again Israelite. Like, whatever that is, like, I'm still trying to figure that out. Like you just die and then you come back, or you get water baptized, and when you come out the water, you just, I'm a born again Israelite. I don't know, man. It's like, this place is coming down, man. It's falling, man. So now everybody's just starting to wake up and realize, man, like, The Most High is not playing.
Right.
He sent the coronavirus. He's starting to shut down this economy. He's like, what can we do? Like, how can we be saved? So now people are starting to watch the ISUPK videos, starting to find out that only the nation of Israel will be saved. So everybody's trying to draft themselves in. And you can try to draft yourself in all you want to. You're going to be overdrafted. You're going to get a charge for that. So like, if you could, you can get Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's crazy, man. Like, at camp, man, it was just disgusting to see these heathens, man, trying to debate their way with the scriptures. Like, you know, Paul came to the Gentiles. It's like they know that they're not Israelites. So that's why they always try to pull what Paul said. Pull what Paul said. You know, Paul was sent to the Gentiles. He was sent to the Gentiles when they don't even know what the Gentiles is talking about. All right, this is another scripture right here also showing you more proof how the Most High made a covenant only with the nation of Israel.
You said Deuteronomy 5 and 2?
Come.
Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 2. The Lord our God made a covenant with us.
The who?
Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 2. The Lord our God.
The Lord. So like the Lord who?
The Lord our God.
Who God?
Our God.
That's possessive, man.
Uh-huh.
Not everybody's God, but who's God?
Our God.
Uh-huh.
Made a covenant with us.
Yes, the Most High made a covenant with us, with the nation of Israel. Like, we man, this is like, it's very heavy, man. Y'all have to understand this, man. The Lord, our God, not everybody's God, our God, made a covenant with us. With a covenant with blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. This covenant is still here today. Like, we cannot run and try to escape for this covenant.
Right.
You know, you can say what you want to say. Like, man, I ain't no Israelite, man. I'm an Egyptian. But guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna still catch the curses that comes from being an Israelite, man. You can't run from this. You can't escape it. You can try to do it all you want to do, man, and thinking that you're gonna just escape this. Like, man, you know what, man? I don't even want to do this church thing. I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in this. I don't believe in God. You know, I'm going to be a Muslim. But yet, you still going to catch the same hell that blacks in America catch. The same hell that blacks in Jamaica catch. You know what I'm saying? The same hell that Israelites catch in Jamaica, Haiti, Mexico. Like, you can't escape it. That's how you know who the children of Israel are. The people that are underneath these curses, man. Like, we can't escape it. We can try to do whatever we want to do, man. You know, I see so many brothers now trying to be Muslims, try to be Egyptologists. Is Egyptologists even still around? I think Captain Tazariot just wiped that off the face of the planet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even hear anybody screaming at the Egyptians no more. You know, now you got people saying they Muslims and this and that, but yet they still catch the hell that everybody else catches, that Israelites. Like, they try to run from it. Like, you got Muslim brothers, what, so-called Negroes who call themselves Muslims, still get cracked upside the head by the police. And then they sit back, where's Allah? Like, nigga, Allah ain't there for you. That's the Arabs guys, man. Like, you trying to worship another guy, but yet you still catching hell like your other brothers. You still catching hell like us. Just like brothers try to be Christians. They try to be Christians. You know, I'm a Christian, man. You know, I'm a good God-serving person. But yet they still catch hell like everybody else do. You catch hell just like everybody else do. Like, we can't run from it. That's why it's so important for us to come back together, man, and start learning who we are, man. You know, everyone today thinks that they can take the Lord's covenant that he made with Israel and apply it to their whole entire world, man, and to themselves. But they can't, man. It's only for Israel. And what they don't realize is whenever we sin against the Most High, whenever the Most High told us, man, if we were to sin against him, man, that we would be scattered amongst all the nations. And he would make us serve punishment and slavery, man. Like, that's what happens to us when we don't keep the commandments of the Most High. He applies the judgments down on us. Like, that's how we're able to find out who the children of Israel are today. These people who are underneath these curses that are found in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. You know what I'm saying? Like, those same curses that are listed in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 is the same curses that you can use to apply to us, man. And we're going to go to one to show you, man. We're going to go to a couple more to show you, man, how the nation of Israel was going to be scattered if we didn't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Because what people don't realize, we're scattered today. We're scattered through all the four corners of the earth today. That's why you're able to look around on the planet and you see us everywhere. You got Israelites in China. You know, people don't even know nothing about it. It's Israelites in China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan. You got Israelites in Australia. We're everywhere. The Most High scattered us around, man. If you can, now you get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27. Okay, come on. Okay, Sean, that's the book of Psalms, chapter 147, verse 19 through 20. That's the book of Psalms, chapter 147, verse 19 through 20. And you said the one with Moses. The one with Moses was the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 1. And you also got the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 5, verse 1 through 2. Again, I said that's Psalms chapter 147, verse 19 through 20. And then you got the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 1. And you got the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 5, verse 1 and verse 2. Now we're going to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 27. You got it up?
Yeah.
All right, come on, you go ahead up.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter Deuteronomy 4, verse 27. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations.
He shall do what?
Scatter you among the nations.
Yeah, this is more proof, man, that the Most High was going to scatter us among the nations, man. He was going to scatter us amongst other nationalities of people. You know, that's what it's saying. It's saying that he was going to scatter us everywhere. Like, he was going to scatter us among the Chinese people, amongst the Japanese people, amongst the so-called Caucasian race. Like, when we didn't keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, the Most High put punishment on us. And one of them was that he was going to scatter us amongst all nations on the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? If you can, select y'all. So could you get the book of James chapter 1, verse 1? You know, this is for these Christians who love to pull the New Testaments. They love to pull the New Testament. You know what I'm saying? Like, they love James and they love Peter, and they just, you know, they love Paul. They in love with Paul. Like, I think they forgot about all the other disciples, and they just they gravitate to Paul. Well, Paul came to the Gentiles. He came to the Gentiles. Well, we got something else to show you, man, about the other priests and prophets that were rolling with Paul also. They also went to the Gentiles.
Right.
But what they don't understand is who the Gentiles are. You know, you don't understand what is a Gentile. Who are the Gentiles? You got that up?
Yeah, come on. It's the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
James, a servant of the Most High.
He was a what?
A servant of the Most High.
And so James served the Most High. He did what the Most High told him to do. So he wasn't going to sin against the Most High. He wasn't going to do anything that was unlawful according to the Most High. And we know, you know what's unlawful to the Most High? It's trying to take what he gave to Israel and give it to everybody else. Right. So James wouldn't do that because he was a servant of the Most High. You can go ahead up.
And of Christ.
And of Christ. So not only was he a servant of the Most High, he was a servant of the Christ. He was a servant of Yahushua HaMashiach. Because when Christ came on the planet, man, when he came on the scene, he was doing the will of his Father, which was to wake up the nation of Israel. It wasn't to go to the Romans. He wasn't trying to go to Julius Caesar and explain to Julius Caesar, hey, man, you can get drafted in too, man. Only thing you got to do is play a little football and you're going to get drafted in, man. You know, you can be an Israelite too. That is not what Christ came to do. And that is not what his servants came to do either. You can go ahead up.
To the 12 tribes.
The who?
The 12 tribes.
No, to everybody.
To the 12 tribes. Which are scattered abroad.
James, even him also, he came to the 12 tribes of Israel that were scattered abroad. What does it mean to scatter something? Let's say that you got some corn in your hand and you're out there trying to feed the chickens out there. If you take the corn and you throw it out like that, you're going to scatter it everywhere. So it's going to be in different places. That's what the Most High did with Israel. He took us as a nation of people and he scattered us amongst all nations on the face of the earth. Just like the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 27 said, that was a part of one of the curses too. Like if we didn't keep the commandments, we were going to be scattered abroad around all nations on the face of the earth. So this is where everybody gets confused when they say Paul went to the Gentiles, they say Peter done went to the Gentiles. No, they went to the scattered that were abroad, all of these nations. It's no different than us being in America now. Like you have brothers and sisters who are not awoke to who they really are according to the scriptures. So they call themselves various names, these Gentile names. You got brothers now who proclaim, hey man, I'm African American, when they're not African American. You have brothers and sisters who say, hey, I'm Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Colombian, hey, I'm Haitian, I'm Jamaican. Like when in all actuality, that's not who we are. We are the children of Israel. But this is what happens to a nation of people when you get scattered amongst another nation of people. You lose your identity. And that's what happened to us. We got scattered amongst everybody on the face of the earth, and we lost our identity. We lost who we were. We stopped keeping the commandments of the Most High. We stopped serving the Most High God. You see it right now here in America right now. What commandments are our brothers and sisters outside of the ISUPK keeping? Do they keep the Sabbath? Do they keep the feast days? Or are they out there celebrating their birthdays? Or are they out there celebrating Christmas? That's what our people are doing. This is what happens when you get scattered. You start to lose the sense of who you are. You start to lose what your forefathers taught you. That's a part of the curses that are upon us. When the Most High scattered us, somebody had to come back and get us. And that's what James was doing. He was a servant of God and a servant of the Most High. He was a servant of God and a servant of Yahweh Shai King. And he went to the 12 tribes of Israel that were scattered abroad. So where were we scattered at during them times? Does it have the names on the places that we were scattered at? Okay, come on. You can get 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 1. We're going to pull up another apostle, man. And just to show y'all what they were doing. Just more proof to show everybody that back then they weren't going to everybody, man. Like when people try to take the scriptures and try to apply it to everybody, that is Christianity dogma, man. That is not true. Like these scriptures were holy. These things were separate, man. That's why when we fell off real bad, that's why the so-called oppressor was he was just so pumped up to just get our book and apply it to himself, because he knew the power behind keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. He knew the power behind getting this book and then portraying themselves to be the people of God. They knew what come. They knows what come with it, man. That's why he had a so-called Jewish man now proclaiming to be us, because they know the people of God are supposed to be ruling over this earth. You know what I'm saying? You can get it from you got it.
This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Christ.
Peter, a what?
An apostle of Christ.
All right.
To the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father.
So this is more proof, man. Like this is the job that our brothers and sisters were doing back. This is the job that the apostles were doing back then. We're doing the same work that they're doing. We're going out to the nation of Israel that are scattered abroad. Like just right here is showing you all of these various places that they went to. You know what I'm saying? Like Galilee, all of these different places. Like that's what they don't understand. When you start seeing these books listed, like Corinthians and all of these places like this, these were the letters that Paul was writing to the brothers and sisters that were located in these various places. Like, because we had to go to the nation of Israel that was scattered in all of these places. No different than what we do now. You look right now, you see the ISUPK, where we got camps at? We got camps in South Carolina. We got camps in North Carolina. We got camps in Florida, camps in New York, camps in Texas, camps in California, camps in Canada. It's a brother, man, they starting to have camp. They finna start having camps in Puerto Rico soon. You got brothers way across the other side of the planet in the UK having camp because the nation of Israel has been scattered abroad. So we're doing what we did. We're doing what our brothers and sisters. We're doing what our brothers did back then. What Paul them did. We're going to the nation of Israel that have been scattered abroad, and we're trying to reach them and wake them back up and bring them back to who we are, because that's what our King did. That's what he did back then. And when he did that, guess what it did? It crippled the Roman economy. It crippled the world. Like, they had to change up everything, and everybody started calling themselves Christians and all this. But, you know, we didn't call ourselves Christians back then. We were Israelites. The Romans were the ones who started calling us Christians because we were followers of Christ. But that's what happened, man. When we started to wake up to who we were, everything started to fall. So that's what's starting to happen now. The more and more Israel starts to wake up to who we are and starts to come back to this school, man, the ISUPK, and serve the Most High correctly, more and more you're going to see this empire fall. More and more you're going to see the Israelites that are scattered abroad come back together and wake up to who we are, man. Salaki, let me get to another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what people don't understand. Like, if you can, you can get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. Man, there's tons of scriptures in this book that tell you how we were scattered, man. How the nation of Israel was scattered. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what the Christians don't understand. When they see James and Peter, this is James 1:1 and Peter 1:1. When they're mentioning who they were going to, the people that were scattered, that was the nation of Israel. He said, is it because they be saying strangers scattered? Come, but even, you're right, but even the strangers, man, even the strangers were Israelites. Those were Israelites, man. Those were Israelites, living outside of different and various places. You know what I'm saying? That's like a brother right now who comes into the school, or a brother that's trying to wake up to the truth. He would be like a stranger to us because he's not aware of what's going on right now. He's not aware that he's an Israelite. So when we start dealing with brothers, we're dealing with brothers who are strangers, who are scattered abroad. So we're trying to wake them back up so they won't have to be strangers no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to let them know who they are. What is a stranger? It's somebody who doesn't know anything. Like, you don't know them. So yeah, we got brothers and sisters who are strangers right now. Like, we don't know them because they're not in here. They're not in this one body. They're not doing what we're doing. Like, they're not doing what Officer Maradaki doing. Like, Officer Maradaki is not a stranger, and me to him, I'm not a stranger to him, because we're doing the work. We know who we are. We're woke to this. So when you have a brother and sister in the world that you're trying to wake up, they would be that stranger that's scattered abroad. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of our brothers and sisters are not aware of who they are anymore, and they're a stranger to this truth. They're not aware of who they are and the things that are going on and why we're suffering like we are. But here in the ISUPK, we do know why, because we know that we are the 12 tribes of Israel. Like, we're not a stranger to this. We're aware. We're awoke. And what we're doing is we're trying to gather the brothers and sisters that have been scattered. And like I said, this is more proof right here. These are more scriptures. Like, y'all can write these down, and these are more scriptures showing you that when it's talking about the people that were scattered in the New Testament, it was talking about the children of Israel. Now, this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. You can read it if you got it up.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee.
He should do what?
Scatter thee among all people.
Among who?
All people.
That's what happened. Anything else on it up?
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
Even to the other end of the earth. That's what we see now. When you look around right now on the face of this planet, we are everywhere, man. We are scattered everywhere on the four corners of the earth. But a majority of us are here in the United States, Mexico, and Canada, and all of these different places. But in all actuality, man, we're scattered everywhere, man. Like, people don't even know, man. Like, if you was to go to certain parts of China, there are black people who got Chinese-looking eyes but are black. Because a lot of their fathers fought in the war, went over there and had sex with some heathen, and guess what? Now you got over there. You got a so-called African-American over there. You got a so-called Mexican over there. You got a so-called Puerto Rican over there. Because our people have been scattered. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now you go over there to China, you got black people living over there being mistreated, catching hell, but they stay over there in China. And things they'll tell you, like, yeah, like, you look black. Oh, yeah, my father's black, but my mother's Chinese. You know what I'm saying? And what are they doing? They're having kids. More kids, more kids. And a lot of them still staying in China. So now you got a majority of Israel over there in China, in Japan, North Korea. It was a sister I knew. The sister she was dark skinned. She had dark skin, but she had Chinese looking eyes. I was like, no, what are you? She was like, oh, my daddy black, my mama Chinese. My daddy was in the military. He just moved us from China over here. I was like, people, I didn't even know. I was young back then. I was like, dang, I ain't know people do that. I ain't know people do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's a majority that's over there. Like, even in Vietnam, you guys see what I'm saying?
No.
Like, even in Vietnam, you don't think brothers was over there sleeping with them filthy, nasty heathens over there? Mm-hmm. They were. There are black Latinos and Native Americans in these different places. Mm-hmm. Because the Most High said that we will be scattered among all nations. Even Italy. Look at Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant wasn't even born in America. Mm-hmm. He was born in Italy. He was born over there in Italy. Like, it's a lot of our people that are everywhere, man. But they don't love to show that. They don't love to show that side. Just like right now, like, they don't love to show, black people being here. They always just show the good parts of America. They show you New York, they show you Los Angeles, everybody just. But nobody wants to go to the bad part where the ghetto, where everybody's suffering at. Just like the same thing in China and Italy, you have black people staying in these various parts who are suffering and living through hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of us everywhere. We are everywhere, man. Even in Africa, but we ain't doing what some Israelite groups are, Mm-hmm. Then I watched that story yesterday about that sister, Joy Morgan. Did you see that? Yeah. They had that story on, I think it's on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Man, that's a sad story, man. Sad story.
Oh, they got one on Netflix?
I think it's on Netflix. What I watched that at? Was it Netflix? Either it was Netflix or it was Hulu. It was one of them I watched it on. That thing was sad, man. Mm-hmm. It was BBC doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. That thing. We have been scattered abroad, but we ain't dealing with no other nations, man. Like, we're not allowing Hamites to come inside this congregation, man.
And if I could,
come.
I mean, like the sister Joy Morgan, she didn't even want to deal with the brother, man.
Nah, she did.
That's the most shocking thing, man. How IUIC will pressure that sister to be with somebody that she don't want to be with, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, here in the ISUPK, man, if you courting a sister or brother,
right,
and they have something, like something about them that they don't want to deal with you anymore, that's still your brother and sister, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still got to deal with them. But of course, these wicked groups and teaming up with the heathens, teaming up with the Africans, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna force that sister to do something that she didn't want to do, man. You know what I'm saying? And that should be forcing sisters here in the ISUPK, because you are not going to be harmed if you don't want to marry a brother within the school, man.
Damn right.
So you can still, you know what I'm saying, marry someone in the world. That wouldn't be wise.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You definitely want to marry, you know what I'm saying, like marry one of these priests and prophets here within the school.
Damn right.
But if not, man, hey, man, listen, no sweat. You still my sister.
Damn right.
You know, and that's how we look at all of our sisters, man. And that's just a horrible, sad story what happened to that sister Joy Morgan, man.
Very sad, man. You're right. I was just sidebarring a little bit, man, but that is very, very sad. Like, even they should, like, that's more proof showing you that they don't study these scriptures, man. Like, we've been scattered abroad, man, and look what they do. Like, even though we've been scattered abroad, they just try to take everybody in. And that's the result of what happens when you try to bring everybody into your congregation.
Right.
Like, you're supposed to be gathering the 12 tribes of Israel, not the nation of ham sandwich. You know what I mean? And that sister, man, she lost her life because they didn't know what the hell they were doing, man. They didn't do that. That goes to show you that these brothers inside of the ISUPK are doing the right thing. Like, we are not bringing heathens inside this congregation. We're doing the same thing James did. We're doing the same thing Peter did. And we're doing the same thing Paul did. We're going to the scattered amongst the nation of Israel and bringing them together. And that thing was so sad about the sister Joy Morgan, man, because like Officer Mardakia said, man, she did not want to deal with the Hamite. Mm-hmm. Like, she didn't want no parts with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, they even said that she was trying to leave. She was about to leave. Mm-hmm. She was trying to leave a school. She started to wake up and realize, like, hey, something is not right. Something is not right with this school. Like, somebody's not doing. That's not even a school. It's just a fake Israelite group. You know, something's not right with this fake Israelite groups. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the Most High. Maybe she. I'm pretty sure she heard of the ISUPK. You know, everybody that joins the IUIC, they always hear about the ISUPK. But since we're so rough, and we keep it real, we keep it 100. We tell the truth, and we don't try to cater to nobody and try to bring the heathens inside the congregation. A lot of people don't want to be a part of it. A lot of people just Hey, Shalom, right across. Hey, I'm gonna call you right quick when I get out of class. Hello. Hey, Shalom. Hey, I'm gonna call you when I get out of class right quick. Come on, yeah, I'm in class. I'm gonna call you when I get out. Yeah, man, that's another thing, man. We have to realize, man, like these nations, man, they just like when you start catering to the other nations, man. You know, you start catering to the heathens. Stuff like this happens, man. Like situations like Joy Morgan happen. So that's why it's very important. That's why General Yohana, man, he keeps us on track, man. He doesn't do anything different than what, you know, he doesn't try to switch it up. He doesn't try to do it to make people happy. He do the same thing that our king did. He does the same thing our king Yahushua HaMashiach did. He went to the 12 lost tribes of Israel and woke them up because he knew we were scattered. He knew we were scattered, man. He knows it too. Like, we scattered amongst all these nations, man. Like, we don't have our identity. We don't know who we are. We're not keeping our commandments anymore. We're just doing what we want to do. We're following after these other nations. We're living like Americans. We're living like Italians. We're living like Germans. We're living like Chinese. You got brothers Buddhists, like, which makes no sense, man. You got brothers traveling from America, going to China to cut all their hair off and become a monk. Like, good night, man. When the Most High gave us this right here, He gave us these laws, statutes, and commandments, man, which are very important, which makes us different from all nations on the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? If you could, we're going to do the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 26.
You said 32:26?
Let's see, select it. 32... Yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 26. Come on, you can go ahead.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 26. I said, I will scatter them into corners.
Mm-hmm.
I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
All right, that's what the Most High did to us, man. Like, He made the remembrance of Israel to cease from man. Like, now today, nobody knows who the 12 lost tribes of Israel are, man. Now everybody believes some filthy, disgusting, homosexual Edomite man living in our land of Jerusalem make up they don't even make up the 12 tribes. They all just say they one tribe. Like, where are the other 11 tribes at? Like, what tribe you from? It's like, I'm Jewish. What tribe you from? Levi. What? So I'm Jewish, but I'm a Simeonite. It's like, what? How? How can you do that? How can you be Jewish and be a Simeonite? What are you? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the remembrance of Israel is not even here anymore. You know, now we're going to start going to scriptures to show you how we lost our identity, how we start keeping the commandments of the Most High. You know, that's what happens when a nation gets scattered amongst the other nation. You start to adopt what they do. That's how you become a Gentile. That's how you become an American. That's how you become a Cuban. That's how you start speaking Spanish and not the Hebrew, what we used to speak. Or you start speaking English. That's what happens. When you get scattered amongst another nation and people, you discontinue from all of your heritage, man. If If you can, now you can get Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4 also. Yeah, that's what we got to realize, man. Like, with us being scattered amongst all of these nations, a lot more hell came with that, man. Us losing our identity, us losing our language, us losing everything. Like, when we sinned against the Most High, He punished us tremendously, man. Like, every other nation on the face of the earth still has their history, still knows their languages, still speak this, still can go back and recover all of the information about their people and everything. Like, you look at China, China got so much hit. Like, China loves to brag and boast about their history, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. If we knew where we were from, I would do the same thing too. If I was Chinese or Japanese or any other nation like that, like, they love to brag about who they were and all their history. But the nation of Israel, which are black, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we can't even tell you who we were. We can't tell you. Like, when we encountered the so-called Spanish conquistadors, we can't tell you anything before then. We can't tell you the food we ate. We can't tell you the things we did. We can't tell you none of that. The so-called African American man, before us running in with the so-called oppressor, we can't tell you any history on anything besides us coming over here on slave ships. Same thing with the brothers in Jamaica. They can't tell you anything before them coming on the slave ships. You know what I'm saying? That's even more proof, man, that we are the children of Israel. Right. Because when not Christopher Columbus, but when the so-called Caucasian people came to pick us up from Africa, guess who was all there together? Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. We were all together, and you can only imagine how many of there were. Like, you got Jamaicans, you got blacks, and you got Haitians all together on one part of Africa. So you know we were deep, deep, like deep dish deep. You know what I mean? It was so many of us. And so what did they do? They came, they got us, they brought some of us to America, they took us to Jamaica, and they took us to Haiti. Like, that's even more proof they knew who we were. Like, they scattered us, they divided us. They did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, these heathens know who we are. Like, your top officials, the Roman Pope and all that, they know who we are. And they know by scattering us that we will lose the identity of who we were. They know that we would forget everything that we were supposed to, man. And that was a part of the curse. And like I said, that's what happens when a nation of people get scattered amongst the other nation of people. And you get put into slavery and hard bondage. They're not going to allow you to keep your culture. They're going to teach you their culture. And now we're just going to run down some more information on it. We're even going to go into some history and show you that this wasn't the first time this happened to us. Mm-hmm. Like, what we seen happen to us in America and in Spain, in Mexico and all of that, that wasn't the first time that happened to us. Like, it has happened to us before. But no nation was ever supposed to do that. Right, Ashan said Atlantic slave trade. Yeah, that's right. Like, no nation was ever supposed to take us in slavery. Like, we were supposed to serve slavery. That was a part of the curses. But these nations wasn't supposed to take our identity and give it to themselves. Like, that is a horrible crime in the eyes of the Most High, man. Like, not only did you put them in slavery, okay, yeah, we were supposed to, but they weren't supposed to keep us in slavery this long. They weren't supposed to take our history and apply it to themselves. They were not supposed to take the true image of our King and Savior and turn it to the devil. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you look at the image of Christ now, what does it look like? A homosexual. And when all that's right, that's not what our King looked like. He was a black man according to the scriptures. The priests and prophets were not white, naked men with little flowers around their genitals, pointing fingers with each other. Like, no, they were black, strong men. They were Latino strong men. They were native strong men. Like, that's who the priests and prophets were. They were black Latinos and Native Americans. They were not our oppressors. The image they love to push now. And like I said, man, we're going to get this scripture right here to show you what was going to happen to us, man. You know what I mean? You can get that for me.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage.
They should do what?
Discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
Like, the Most High said that we were going to discontinue from our heritage that He gave us. What did He give us? The laws, the statutes, the commandments. That's what he gave us. And the Most High said when we sinned against him, that's what he done to us, man. It forced us to be discontinued from our heritage. That's why now you look around right now, we don't even know nothing about our heritage. Only thanks to the Most High for sending General Yohanan, man, for General Yohanan to hold on to this truth. Now we're able to wake up and realize who we are. Now we're able to sit here at this table and have all these glorious things and do the same things that our forefathers done in the past. Like just now we're starting to wake up. But back then the Most High said that we were going to discontinue from our heritage. You know what I mean? That the Most High gave us. You can go to keep reading up.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
Yeah, that's what happened to us, man. And you can also find that same curse right here, this same prophecy in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Right.
Where the Most High said that he would cause us to go into slavery and we would have to serve our enemies. And with us going into slavery and serving our enemies, we were going to discontinue from our heritage. Like, that's the reason why we are in the condition that we are in now, man. You know what I'm saying? That's another cut to these so-called fake Christian leaders, these so-called Edomite scholars. Like, the Most High said that we were going to discontinue from our heritage. That's why the Most High sent back our king to wake us back up to who we were, man. That's why he sent Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. And he went and gathered the disciples like James, Paul, and Peter, and they had to go to the scattered that were abroad, all people, man. Because when we got put into slavery, we lost our identity.
Right.
We lost everything. Now, this is something right here. This is another thing. Like, what people don't understand, man, like, the Roman Catholic Church took out the book out of the Bible called the Apocrypha. And it's a reason why they did that. Because the Apocrypha is so heavy, man. Like, you can tie the Apocrypha in with what happened to us when we first encountered the so-called oppressor back during the Atlantic slave trade. Like, what happened in the Apocrypha happened to us again when we encountered the so-called Edomites. You know what I mean? Now, we're going to bring that up. You got the Apocrypha out?
I got it on.
Okay, come on. Now, the Apocrypha is another part of the Bible that the Roman Catholic Church took out. Because a lot of our people were starting to read that and starting to realize, like, hey, what happened to these people back then, it happened to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, they took that out because they knew how powerful it was. That's why you have people now arguing about that. Well, the Apocrypha ain't part of the book. It ain't part of the Bible. But if you go and get that 1611 version, it's in there. It's right in there. You know what I'm saying? It's the Roman Catholic Church. They were wise by taking that out because they knew if people started to read this and see what happened to the Israelites, and then you have these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are on these street corners telling people that we are the children of Israel, and they tie this in with this and that, they're going to realize that, hey, these are the people of the Bible. Like, what happened to them back then, it happened to them again. And people going to start to look around and be like, we're going to be held accountable for this. Okay, you got it up?
And if I could, so just on one occasion, like the story of the Maccabees.
That's where we going.
With the I don't want to do it. Well, I'm gonna let you go get down there, sir.
Oh no, Con. No, we'll go to second. Where you going to Maccabees 6:1? All right, Con. We're gonna go to the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 1, because this is heavy. Officer Maradaki, he was already on it. See, this is what happened when you have scholars, man. Scholars are just already on it. They read it. They pull it like, you know what I mean? Because we think alike. We on the same mind frame, man. Like, this is more proof to show you, man, that what happened to us when we came on the Atlantic slave trade, how we were beat, how we were robbed of our history and everything, it's in the Apocrypha. And this is in the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 1. If you don't have an Apocrypha, man, you have to get one, man. It's mandatory. It's mandatory that you get one, man, so you can learn more and more about what happened to us in ancient times and how it happened to us again now. Whenever you got it out, you can read it out.
Sir. This is the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews.
And what does compel mean? Compel means forced to do something. You know what I'm saying? So it was an old man from Athens, Greece. Greece, like this is more history. Like this is history in the Bible, man. Like, you know, they love to say the Bible ain't real, it ain't this and that, but this is history in the Bible. This was an old Edomite oppressor coming from Greece, from Athens, Greece. And he came down to us, to our forefathers who were in Jerusalem. And he was about to compel us. He was about to force us to do something. Something that we didn't want to do. Go ahead. You can read it again from the top up.
2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from their laws.
To do what?
Depart from their laws.
How do you depart somebody from their laws, man? How do you think they made us stop serving the Most High? We're going to find out more here. Go ahead, up.
Depart from their laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God.
And that's what these nations still, that's what the so-called oppressor loves to do to us today, man. He loves to compel us, man, and tries to force us to depart from the laws of our forefathers, man. They hate to see us keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. They hate it. Like, you don't want to believe it. Like, people don't want to believe in, I don't believe in the Bible, I don't believe in this. But this is what makes us great, man. This is what makes us a great nation. It's us keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments that were given to our Father. Because like the scripture said, we are a holy people unto the Lord thy God. You know, we are a holy people to him. And holy means separate. So when we come back and start serving the Most High, keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, we are separate from these other nations. We won't eat pork like these other nations. We won't be homosexuals like these other nations. We won't smoke weed. We won't sell drugs. We won't rob each other. We won't kill each other. We won't do none of that because we will be separate from these other nations. So this is the reason why these heathens back in the book of Maccabees tried to compel us and make us discontinue from keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Because they know if they don't serve their God, guess what? We can do what we want to do to them. Like they can pretty much, they'll be like us. They'll do what we do. So you can read that again from the top up.
2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God.
Good night. They didn't even want us to live after the laws of God. Right, that's right, Sean. It's going on today. It's still going on today. That's why you see America pushing all type of things like being gay is legal. Like you could be a homosexual. Like it was a day. I'm just sidebarring today. It's so bad with Esau pushing his agendas on us, man. Like that homosexual thing is horrible, man. I went to the sister today. She was in like a barbershop, but she braids my hair. Sister was braiding my hair. And she was telling us about a brother who works in the barbershop who cuts her. But he's on the down low. They said that she said, well, you remember that dude that used to cut hair right here? I was like, yeah, the dude at the front. She was like, yeah, that brother right there. She said, well, you remember I told you that he got exposed for being a homosexual? I was like, good night. She was like, yeah, it got so bad the way he started to share pictures of their encounters and things they were doing with everybody in the barbershop. So everybody in the barbershop knew that he was gay. But now they don't got to the point now where everybody just accepted it. You know, they just accepted, they cool with it. You know, hey man, hey, if you is, you is. If you ain't, you ain't. But that's what happens, man, when the nation compels you and force you not to keep the commandments of the Most High. Now you accept stuff like that. You know, back then, if we were keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, that brother wouldn't be nowhere.
Right.
That brother would be Thanos with the thumb snap. Thanos with the thumb snap. That's it. That man's out of here. You know what I mean? But now, since we have been compelled and taken over by these other nations, now things like that can be accepted. Come on, you go ahead up.
Man, and if I could, man, this thinking Black Lives Matter, man.
Oh my! How could I forget?
They have the audacity to now join hand in hand with the LGBT community.
That's what it was all about.
So I mean, yeah, pretty much because of course not a lot of people know, you know what I'm saying, but the founders of quote unquote Black Lives Matters are lesbians. You understand? And now, of course, you understand. I believe a white man owned it now, so of course he got to bring his, you know, his filthiness in it with the LGBT community and whatnot. So I believe that like they had like flags joining together and all. I'm like, man, listen, man. We've been telling y'all that the Black Lives Matter is not where it's at, man. It
Right.
SUBK under Commander Jenny Hanna, and now y'all are seeing it, man, with your own eyes, man. So like,
Cause hey, what he's saying is so heavy, man. Like, just like everything when it comes to oppressor, man, he's trying to play like the Bible says. The book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21. The words of thy mouth are smoother than butter,
Right.
but war is in his heart. That agenda that they're pushing with Black Lives Matter, that is war amongst our people, man. Cause they said, Salaki, sir, it's now it's hard to die as a black man, right? Like, you can't even die as a straight black man. You know, brother might die there with Black Lives Matter. He might be out there marching and die. Somebody gonna throw a rainbow flag on top of him. You know, he's like, God. Oh, man, that's we tried to like Officer Mark Daggett said, man. We tried to warn y'all, man. We tried to tell you, y'all want to throw beer bottles at us and spit on us and kick our signs over when we at camp, but y'all went out there and marched and y'all so hateful, So not only are you gonna get killed at Black Lives Matter march, when you get killed, somebody gonna come with a rainbow flag and throw it on top of him. He died for the cause, and you don't want to know who's gonna pick your body up out there. You're gonna be getting carried by a bunch of boy lovers, so like they're gonna be more than happy to take your dead body to whatever place they want to take it to. And good, yeah, right, Sean, you right. Black Lives Matter movement was funded by a white woman. I seen that for myself. It was a Edomite woman. I just seen this. I forgot what I should have wrote her name down, but she felt like she's over the whole thing. Like you said, now somebody is on it. Like, how can you get a white woman to tell black people that their lives matter? Like, you know, it's some type of agenda behind it, and then to come to find out, the lady who started Black Lives Matter movement also supports the abortion movement. Right. I mean, we're not surprised. We're not surprised at all. Like, that's why General Yohana told us, man. He told brothers and sisters, man, do not get inside of that Black Lives Matter movement. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to do it. Come here, learn who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what happened, man. When you get discontinued from your heritage, man, you'll follow anything, man. And you got brothers and sisters out there now, Black Lives Matter. Like, now wearing that T-shirt is going to mean you're gay. Like, if you come in there with the Black Lives Matter shirt on, they going, oh, yeah, he gay. Like, because that's the whole movement behind it. It's the homosexual agenda. Like, y'all got to wake up, man. Like, y'all going to realize, man, you cannot join your oppressor and think that they're going to have, you know, all type of good intentions for you, because they're not. Like, good night. Like, damn, that's sad. Brothers don't found out that the BLM is really the LGBTQ movement. Like, they got some more letters. They're gonna have it. Soon later you're gonna see it's gonna say LGBTQT, and then it's gonna say BLM at the end of it. You're gonna be like, good night. Yeah, we're not supporting none of that foolishness, man. You can go ahead and keep reading out. Second Maccabees, chapter 6, and verse 2, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem. And that's what happened, man. When these heathens came and compelled us, man, when they tried to force us to go against our God, they came and took over the temple, man. They came and ramshacked the temple, man. Like, that's what happens when heathens try to get in the way with all of, just like Black Lives Matter, man. Just like Black Lives Matter. Like, people that try to do the Black Lives Matter, like, they not really with all that homosexual stuff, man. But since they been compelled, guess what happens, man? Whole thing get ramshacked. You can go ahead up. And to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius. Oh, damn. You can tie that in with the BLM too. You know, they said Black Lives Matters. Now LGBTQ lives matter. That's what happened, man. You go ahead up.
And that in Jerusalem of Jupiter, the defender of strangers.
You go ahead.
As they did desire that dwelt in the place. Verse 3. The coming of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people. Verse 4. For the temple was filled with riot and revealing by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots.
Good night. Like, our people were so pissed off that these heathens came down to our temple and tried to overtake it, that it was just riots, because brothers was in the temple sleeping with whores, man. Not brothers, but you had heathens. Like, they were so disrespectful, man. Like, so disrespectful, man. Like, they came inside the temple and started sleeping with whores, man. Inside our temple. Like, good night, man. That was a horrible sight to have to see back then, man. To have to see the temple of God, man, being overcome by some Gentiles, by some Greeks, by some Edomite oppressors, and come into our temple and overtake it. Come on, you can go ahead and keep reading now, if there's anything else on it.
Let's see here.
Cause we gonna go to, I'm gonna go right to 9.
It had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that, brought in things that were not lawful.
They did what?
Brought in things that were not lawful.
You go ahead up.
Verse 5. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth.
So during this time, man, they don't came inside the temple, and these heathens, these Greeks, these so-called Greeks, which were Edomites, which were Caucasians back then, came inside the temple with whores, with all type of unlawful stuff, and just start trying to, just overtook the whole temple, man. Just overtook the whole temple, like pretty much just took over everything, man. All right, you go ahead up.
The altar also was filled with profane things which the law forbidded. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days and ancient feasts.
So it was unlawful for him to do what?
For a man to keep Sabbath days and ancient feasts.
So they made it a law where you could not keep the Sabbath days or the feast days. Does that sound familiar? Think about what happened to us when we came off the slave ships. They made it a law where we couldn't even, like, they would. I know everybody's seen Roots. You know, everybody used to make fun of this back then about Roots, but it's not funny now. With a scene where they had the brother hanging up and he was like, "My name is Kunta," and they beat him. And what did he say? "No, your name is Toby." Like, this is what happened to us back then. Like, this is what they were doing. They made it a law to where you couldn't even keep your own customs, man. That's why the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 4 said what it said. "And thou even thyself should discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee." Like, what was happening in the book of Maccabees was a curse and a prophecy that was going to come upon us. It happened to us then, and it happened to us again. It happened to us during the time of the Maccabees, and it happened to us during the time of the Atlantic slave trade. Because before the Atlantic slave trade, we knew who we were. We were speaking Hebrew. We were writing Hebrew. But some of our people were still sinning. And one thing about the nation of Israel is the Most High punished the whole nation. Even though one or two of us might be doing something bad, yeah, he'll punish them too, but he will punish the whole nation. And that's what happened, man. Like, it happened to all of us. It happened to the so-called Taino Indians, which are the tribe of Ephraim. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Christopher Columbus encountered them, they were speaking Paleo-Hebrew. And there's a book called the Lost 10 Tribes. Is it called the Lost Tribes of the Promised Land? I mean, where it goes more into details about the 10 tribes, which are the Latino brothers, the so-called Native American brothers, where it goes more into details and it tells you how they were speaking Paleo-Hebrew to each other, how they were keeping their feast days, how they were dressing with the fringes. That's why when you ever see the so-called Native American brothers and sisters, man, they always had the clothes with the fringes on it, with a border of blue, because they still knew who they were, and they always had their hair braided to the back. It was just all they still knew about our customs and our traditions. But with the so-called oppressor, what he did was, still remembering what they did to us in the past, they came back and did the same thing again. They made it a law to where we couldn't even keep our laws, statutes, and commandments. Like it was brothers that were coming on the slave ships who had braids and beards and everything, and they cut it off. They cut our beards off. They cut our braids off. They forced us to stop speaking our language. Like brothers and sisters couldn't even keep the Sabbath day. When we came up here in slavery, do you think they let us keep the Sabbath days? Do you really think they let us? Well, you know what? Y'all go ahead and keep the Sabbath. I know y'all Israelites. Go ahead and keep the Sabbath. You know, you ain't got to eat no pork or nothing like that. No, that's not what happened. They made us discontinue from keeping our heritage, man. We were not able to do any of those things. Anything else on it up?
Come.
All right.
Verse 7. And in the days of the king's birth, every month they were bought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews was compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy.
So this is how we come up with birthdays. Like you celebrating a birthday right now, or you doing all this wickedness right now, that was something that was forced on you. Just like in slavery. When Master had a birthday, guess who else had to celebrate Master's birthday? The slaves. Do you really believe we wanted to sit up there and celebrate his birthday? Everybody bringing him gifts and presents. No, he got forced to do the same thing. Just like in ancient times, we had to do this again. You know, just like during the times with the Greeks, when they were celebrating their birthdays, when the king was celebrating his birthday, he forced us to celebrate it with him. We had to bring gifts. We had to bring this. We had to bring that, bring food, cook for him, serve him. So you got to understand, imagine 100 years of you celebrating birthdays of another nation. After the first 30 years, everybody going to forget that this was forced on us. Like eventually everybody forget. So then you do another 30 years after that. Now you got 60 years. So then you only going to imagine then like, you know what? He's celebrating his birthday. Let's start celebrating our birthdays. Then another 30 years happen. Guess what's going to happen? Those people going to be celebrating birthdays. They're not even going to remember that it was a sin back then to celebrate the birthdays. Like you do 100 years. You do the first 10 years. You force the nation of people to celebrate birthdays. You force them. You beat them. You murder them. You rape them. Like when they don't want to celebrate it, you take their kids and you beat them until they get to the point, okay, I'll celebrate it. I'll do it. And you beat them into submission until they get to the point where they know, hey, if we don't celebrate his birthday, we're going to get killed. We're going to get beat. So you do that to them for the first 10 years. And the next 10 years come. They going to get in shape. They going to get in line. They just going to get to a point where they come accustomed to it. Hey, you know it's Master's birthday. We're going to keep Master's birthday. Another 10 years come. Hey, you know it's the birthday of Master. We're going to celebrate. And you go on and 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 on until the people just forget about it. And they start doing the same thing. That's why we celebrate birthdays right now. Like, this was never part of our tradition. When we came out the slave ship, you think we was really trying to celebrate a damn birthday? Or we were trying to worry about surviving? We weren't trying to celebrate no damn birthdays or none of that. Like, that was another tradition that was forced on us. And it came from the Greeks, and the Greeks got it from the Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these customs that the heathens keep, it's been stolen from other heathens, and then they pushed it upon us. All right, you can go ahead and keep reading out.
Verse 8. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor city of the heathen.
So now it went out a decree to the heathens around about, man, in the other cities. And it said, what, you go ahead up?
By the suggestion of Ptolemy.
And Ptolemy was an Edomite, man. Ptolemy was an Edomite. I wish I had the Bible dictionary. You think you can grab it out? I don't think. No, I don't even think. Never mind. I don't think it's in there. I don't know if it's in, but I can check and see. I got a book. I got a book called the Roman. It's about the Roman kings and the Greek kings, and it has Ptolemy in there, and it tells you who he is, and you know what I'm saying. Ptolemy is spelled Ptolemee. It's a lock. You in there? Let's see about Ptolemy.
Just the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Ptolemy, a common name of the 15th Macedonian king of Egypt, whose dynasty extended from the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC to the murder of Ptolemy, son of Julius Caesar, and killed Cleopatra in 30 BC. Ptolemy, one Soter, Ptolemy II, Philadelphus.
Oh yeah, you good. Yeah, that's just more proof to show you that Ptolemy would have been a so-called white man.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Greek. That's what he was. This was another oppressor forcing us to keep their traditions and their history. Like, that's why it happened to us again. Like what people don't understand is those people who came, the Spanish conquistadors, they came from Spain. What's famous for being in Spain? The Romans, the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church knew about our history, knew about everything about it. They knew everything about us. They knew who we were. And another thing they knew is, if you want to make them if you want to force them to stop serving their God, you have to force them to start serving the things that we do. So you got to beat their religion out of them and then force them to celebrate birthdays. Then force them to bow down to our God. Make them worship profane things. Make them eat pork. Make them eat shrimp. Make them eat crab and lobster. And if you keep doing this for 100 years, guess what's going to happen? The next generation going to do the same thing. So now look at us now. 400 years later, after being beat, robbed, and stripped of our inheritance, who are we living like now? We're not living like Israelites. We're living like Gentiles. We're living like heathens. We're living like Americans. We're living like Spaniards. You know what I'm saying? Do you think the brothers in Mexico were eating pork? Like, if you do the history on the pork, like the brothers and sisters in Mexico, they didn't even have pigs around there like that. Like, they weren't even eating pork. They learned how to eat pork from the Spanish conquistadors, who were having so-called barbecues. Like, they were having pork where they would put the whole pork on the grill and they would cook it and they would starve us out. And then eventually they got to the point where they was like, let them eat the pork. Go ahead, let them eat a little bit. Now you got maybe 20 brothers eat a little pork, and it's good when you're starving. So then next thing you know, you give it to the first 10, then you give it to another 30, 40, 50, and now you just start to overtake that whole nation. Now everybody eating pork. Now everybody eats shrimp. Now everybody eat crab and lobster. And then you multiply that times what? 400 years? And then look at us now. Like, brothers and sisters in Mexico eat pork and suffer the same thing black people here in America do. I got an Israelite brother. He said, I tried to tell my father, man, stop eating that pork, but he won't listen. He was like, his father would eat. He said his father eats pork, and as soon as he eats it, his eyes turn bloodshot red. I was like, God damn, it can't be that good. He was like, man, I don't know, man. He was like, he eats the pork, and his dad don't believe in taking the high blood pressure pills. Like, they like to do their own remedies. Issachar still do with a lot of remedies. So he said he'll eat the pork. His eyes will turn bloodshot red from his blood pressure being high. And he'll try to drink some type of tea that he makes that lowers his blood pressure. But I'm like, God damn, that's the result of us being in slavery, man, and losing our inheritance, man, and serving these other nations, man. Like, now we eat pork. Now we celebrate our birthdays. We do all type of wickedness, man. Like, you gotta understand something, man. These oppressors, man, they're not stupid, man. They know who we are.
Right.
They know if we serve them and do what they want us to do, like, the Most High punishes, and they'll always remain on top. Like, that's how they stay on top. They feed off our sin. They need us to sin. With us sinning, they stay on top. The Most High's with them and not with us. Like, that's why they push all of these different agendas, man. That's why they drop drugs in your neighborhood. That's why they put guns in your neighborhood and, push the black crimes, push the gangs and all of that stuff like that. Like, they live for this stuff. They need us to sin. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's Arab gas stations on every side of the store with the cigarettes in there and all type of foolishness and wickedness, man. Like, that's why they legalize weed, because they know as long as we sin against the Most High, He will be with them and not with us. And that's why the Most High allowed General Yohana to hold on to this truth. And with the ISUPK, man, we're starting to wake people up, man, out of that Gentile state of mind. Brothers and sisters, like the brothers and sisters you see here in the ISUPK, we're not living like Gentiles anymore. You know what I'm saying? We're not living like heathens. We're not keeping heathen traditions and customs. Because when you read in the scriptures, if a brother and sister, man, discontinued from their heritage back then when we knew who we were, man, they would call you a heathen. They would call you a Gentile. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you was a stranger who came from another land and you was doing all this wickedness, like, brothers would look at you like, man, you a heathen, man. And that's the problem that Christ had with the Pharisees, man. Like, the Pharisees, even with Paul, even Paul was going through that. You know, he didn't want to accept a lot of brothers who were living in Rome and living like various nations. Was that Paul who had that dream? He had the dream about the unclean animals, but it was really about the three brothers. It was like I think it was Paul who had that dream, and he had a dream. You know, Christians love to use that same dream that Paul had as a way to say that, you know, you can eat unclean meats. Mm-hmm. He's like, it's not what goes in the man, but what comes out. Mm-hmm. But what they didn't understand was that dream was about Paul accepting these brothers who were living like Gentiles at one point in time, who were trying to transgressing themselves back to the laws, statutes, and commandments. Like, that's what they don't understand. Like, they took that scripture and took it and said, oh, now we can eat pork. Like, when the scriptures tell you, man, that, you know, that was a profane thing to do, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's what them heathens did, man. All right, you can still read on that, Art.
Mm-hmm.
You can read from the top if you can.
Verse 8.
Come
on. 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 8. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy,
Edomite,
against the Jews.
Against who?
The Jews.
Mm-hmm.
That they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
Good night. So these heathens forced us to observe the same fashions. So, you know, we were dressing like them. You know what I mean? Because I support, Peter 6, So, that was Peter, okay. So, these heathens had us dressing like them. It's no different than now. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the same thing the Greeks did. It's the same thing America does. Like, because we were not dressing like this. We wasn't doing the same things they do. So, these heathens had us dressing like them and to be partakers of their sacrifices. And what were some of their sacrifices? Birthdays, worshiping Jupiter, worshiping Venus, worshiping Mars, doing all type of sick wickedness. Like, y'all don't, man, like, I recommend anybody, man, do a little bit of history and studying on the ancient Romans and Greeks, man. You're going to find out that they were disgusting. Like, what America tries to hide now with their secret society is what they did back in the open during the Greeks and the Roman times. Mm-hmm. Like, what they try to hide now, they did this openly back then with the Greeks and Rome. Right. Man, it was like, I was reading up on it, man, they said, man, the Roman emperor would be at the top looking down in the square at the market, and he would see people, and he would just point down at you, and the guards would snatch you up and bring you up there to you with him. And God knows what he would do to you in there. Mm-hmm. Like, they said, you would go up, but you wouldn't come back. Right. Like, good night. It's like, the stuff that they did back then with the Romans and the Greeks, they try to hide it now. Like, now they call it the Illuminati, the secret society, you know, the Pizzagate scandal where they say they were molesting children and all that. Yeah. Yes, all of that is true. Yeah, damn right, it's all true. Just like the Roman Catholic Church, what are they doing there? Rape all the little boys that they can. Rape all the young boys. Like, good night. You know what I mean? That's why you see nothing but little altar boys in there. They love the little ones. Like, good night. Like, I could never let my child be I think the Most High when we was in the world, I was, you know, same thing with the Christians, but that Roman Catholicism, man, like, good night, man. That Pope had you up in there running around with the little robe on. You got some old, filthy Edomite devil looking at your kids, he kissing their forehead, and good night, man. Like, it goes to show you, man, they, like, what they doing to us now, man, they been did this, man. They did the same thing during the times of the Spaniards. Like, when they got in contact with the 12 tribes, man, they pushed that on us, man. Pushed the birthdays and all that religions and all that crazy stuff on us, man. Because that was never a part of our customs. That's why so many of our men died back then. Because we would rather die than to serve their gods, man. And they did horrible things to us. Like, you know, a brother might not want to serve their God, and what would they do to the so-called Mexican brothers? They would, and the so-called Gadite brothers, they would tie them all to like a stake. Like, in the middle of the stake, they'd tie all of them to the stake. and they would set all of them on fire in front of the whole nation of people out there, just to make an example out of. They would take all of our strong men, take them, and set them on fire in front of everybody, and then look at everybody. Well, if you don't worship this, or if you don't eat this, and if you don't do that, this is going to happen to you. Like, what do you think you're going to do if they just killed all your strong men, and all you left with is women, young boys, teenager boys, girls, daughters? What do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to fight back, or do you think they're going to eat the pork? Or do you think they're going to celebrate the birthdays? They're going to celebrate the birthdays. You just killed off all their mighty men. And they did the same thing with us during the time of slavery. During the time of slavery, with us, with the black men, with so-called African men, so-called African-American men, so-called Haitians and Jamaicans, they did the same thing to us. You know what I'm saying? They took their strong man who didn't want to want to do what they wanted to do, just like Kunta Kinte. When he didn't want to be Toby, what did they do to him? They beat the hell out of him until he started saying, what did he do? He was like, "What's your name, boy?" Kunta. Beat him. What's your name, boy? Kunta. Beat him. What's your name, boy? Toby. Beat him until he is forced to do it. You know what I'm saying? That happened to us, man. Those are true stories, man. They beat our heritage out of us. But all of this has been found in the scriptures. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I have gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies. That's what happened to us, man. We discontinued from our enemies. We discontinued from our heritage, and we started to serve our enemies. And it happened in the book of Maccabees also. Right. And it happened in the land of America also. Like, that's why the scripture said there's nothing new underneath the sun. It happened to us before, and it happened to us again. And when Christ came and woke us up back then, he's going to come back again. But this time, ain't going to be no handshakes. Ain't going to be no handshakes. Hey, the plum tree ain't going to be dead this time. It's going to be people. It's going to be people. All right, you can keep reading that. You can read the verse 9.
Verse 9. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles.
And they said they wouldn't do what?
And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death.
Ooh-wee. So this is how we became Gentiles. This is what happened. If you didn't want to be a Gentile, if you didn't want to live and act like a Gentile, guess what happened to you? You got put to death. No different than what happened to us during the time of the Spanish conquistadors, during the time of the Pilgrims, during the time of the so-called Englishmen that came and got us from the so-called coast of Africa. It was no different. If we didn't want to serve them and do their manners of the Gentiles, guess what happened to us? We got killed. We got murdered. If we didn't want to serve Jupiter back then for the Greeks, guess what happened to you? You got killed. And if you didn't want to serve Caesar Borgia during our time, guess what happened to you? You got killed. Which one is the story with the sister with the 7 sons in there?
Yeah, that's Maccabees too. I think that's first Maccabees though.
Yeah, we're gonna pull another story to show you what happened to a sister, man, who didn't want to eat pork. Who didn't want to eat pork. Trying to see if we got enough time for. We got about 10 more minutes. We should be able to squeeze this in. We're gonna show you what happened to a sister who didn't want to eat pork. For all you Christians out here who willingly go out there and eat the pork. Some of you deserve a high blood pressure, man. Good night. You read this story right here, and you see what happened to this sister for not eating pork, and you still go out there and decide to eat pork. You might deserve that high blood pressure. You might deserve to lose that foot. After I read this story, man, I was just like, I was already done eating pork, but when I read this, I was just like, damn. Yo, you found it up?
Yeah, it's in 2nd Maccabees chapter 7.
Okay, come on.
You want me to skip down to some, or you want me to start at verse 1?
Does number 1 go into like, the beginning of it and everything?
Kind of does.
Okay, you can start out with 1.
This is the book of 2nd Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 1. And it came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh.
So this right here happened to a mother with her 7 sons, man. When the king compelled them, when he tried to force them to eat the pork, which was against the law, which is still against the law. You go ahead up.
By the kings against the law to taste swine's flesh, and were tormented with scourging and whips.
So that sounds very familiar, don't it? That sounds like the transatlantic slave trade, where the brother didn't want to eat, where brothers and sisters didn't want to eat the pork, and they tormented us with whips and what else up?
Scourges.
Beat us, man. Beat us because we didn't want to eat pork. You can go ahead up.
Verse 2, but one of them that spake first said thus, what wouldest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die.
Damn right. Like, this is the spirit you have to have when it comes to these nations trying to force you to do what they want you to do, to go against your God, against the laws, statutes, and commandments, man. You can go ahead up.
We are ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers.
That's what we have to be ready to do, man. That's what we're ready to do in the ISUPK. Rather than sin against the Most High God, we are ready to die. It's like, you don't even have to talk to us. Hey, you gonna eat the pork? No. You gonna serve? You gonna worship Sasha Boils here? No. Well, you gotta die. Let's get it. Let's do it. I'm ready. Sign me up. And it's gonna be somebody else that's gonna cut me off now in rank order. Ak. You can go ahead up.
Verse 3, then the king, being in rage, commanded pans and caldrons to be made hot.
Don't this sound familiar too? Like when we said we didn't want to serve, we didn't want to worship Sasha Boys here. What did the slave master do? Get that hot pan ready for him. Put that oil in that pan for him. Oh, we gonna make an example out here today. He gonna try to embarrass me in front of everybody. You get him in a rage. He don't got mad because you didn't want to worship his God. So what he gonna do? He don't got mad. He don't got big mad. So now guess what he do? Go get big pots hot. Get big pots hot. You can go ahead up.
Verse 4, for with being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first.
Cut the brother tongue out. Cut his tongue out. Like, you gotta understand, like, there were more people around that was watching this. Like, they did the same thing they did to these brothers and sisters, man. This brother and this sister, their mother, they did this to us in slavery, man. Like, they made an example. They tried to make an example out of the strong ones. Like, all the ones that were strong, they made an example out of them. So now we reading about what happened to some of the brothers and sisters, man, who decided to be strong and serve the Most High. Like, they died, and that's the spirit that you have to be in, man. Like, you think Esau really gonna kill all the slaves off? You think he can kill everybody off? No, but hey, somebody gotta be willing to die for it, man. You can go ahead up.
And to cut off the utmost parts of his body.
And then they cut his tongue out. Then they cut up the utmost parts of his body. His hands, his arms. Like, tortured him, man. Probably cut off his ear, like all type of parts of his body, man. You can go ahead up.
The rest of his brethren and his mother looking on.
And then they did it in front of his mother, in front of his brother, man. Like, that's the type of people we're dealing with, man. Like, they done this before to us, man. This is nothing new, man. What happened to us in slavery is found in the book of the Maccabees, man. This is why the Roman Catholic Church took it out. Because they did that same practice. The same thing they did to us during the time of the Maccabees, they did it again to us when we encountered the conquistadors. We encountered the so-called Europeans that came from Britain and all of that. They did it to us again. You can go ahead, Art.
Verse 5. Now when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in the pan.
Like, this brother was, like, they cut his arms off and everything. He was still alive. Like, he was still alive, man. And what did he do? Took his body and said, fry it in the pan. While the brother was alive, man. Fried the brother alive while they cut his arms off. Cut his tongue out his mouth. In front of his mother. In front of his brothers. Like, these are the type of people we dealing with, man. You don't think they done this when we came into slavery? They did the same thing. Where do you think they learned this from? their ancestors, their forefathers. Who were the Greeks? Who were the Romans? You can go ahead and keep reading up.
And as the vapor of the pen was for a good space dispersed, they exhort one another with the mother to die manfully, saying this: the Lord looketh upon us, and in the truth have comfort in us. And Moses in his song, which witnesses to their faces, declared, saying, and after he shall be comforted in his servants.
Damn right. Like this like they was ready to die for it, man. Like that's how you have to be, man. As horrible as it may be, like as horrible as you may die, you have to be ready to die to serve the Most High. Like look how they did our King Yahushua HaMashiach. Right. Look how they did our King. They did a lynching. What they did to him was called a lynching. Like Christians don't never love to talk about that. They don't never love to discuss what they did to him was a lynching. Right. It's what they done to many of us. What they did to Christ is what they did to many of our brothers and sisters. Beat them in the streets, spit on them, mocked them, made fun of them, kicked dirt on them. And then when they got him down to the middle of the crowd in front of everybody, they hung him up like he was nothing. Hung him up on the cross. Just like they did our brothers, man. Just like they still doing now. Hanging us on trees. All the pictures you don't seen of them hanging our brothers and sisters in front of everybody. While there are tons of Edomites just sitting back watching, pointing at it. And mailing those pictures off for postcards for their grandmothers. Like these are the people we dealing with, man. That's why, man, it's so important for us to stop trying to follow these nations. To stop trying to join hands with the Black Lives Matter movement when it's ran by an oppressor. Like you were joining hands with a wicked nation of people, man. Anything else on it up?
I keep reading on or something.
Nah, that's gonna be it. We're gonna get ready to wrap it up, man. But like we're saying, man, like this is a very important time for us to come back into this truth, man, and learn who we are, man. Like, we're teaching you, man, like, everything that has happened to us, man, has happened to us before. Like, this is why it's so important. This is why you see brothers, man, on the corners, Saturdays, man, Fridays sometimes, man, speaking this truth, trying to wake you up and trying to notify you on your history, on who we are, man. Because it's very important, and it's very important for us to wake up and realize who we are, man. Like, we can no longer continue to play around, man. And with that, man, I'm gonna finish up, and I'm gonna let the brother Officer Maradaki come up. Call Priest and Prophet Officer Maradaki.
We'll sign Christ. Alright. So ISUPK security announcements. We got the ISUPK start out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister: when a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Ties, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verses 21, and Malachi chapters 3, verses 8 through 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give it to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocation, got the memorial of blowing of the trumpets. Yes, the first day of the seventh month. This falls on Thursday, September 17th. You can read this in Leviticus chapter 23, verses 24 through 25. Remind occupant Aqua to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boot shirts, pants, headband, scarf. That's shalom.